Most people assume financial freedom is built by extraordinary people, people with exceptional talent, exceptional intelligence, exceptional luck, or a willingness to work harder than everyone else. But when researchers study self-made wealth builders, first-generation entrepreneurs, and people who escaped financial instability, they often find something surprising. The biggest difference usually isn't IQ. It isn't talent, and it isn't luck. It's psychology. Specifically, a set of mental patterns around control, risk, patience, and identity. Patterns that can be learned. Patterns that can be practiced. Patterns that often matter more than raw intelligence. And today, I want to explore what those patterns look like, because understanding how financially free people think may be more useful than understanding how much money they make. Here are 9 psychological patterns common in people who built financial freedom starting from nothing. Let's start with one of the most studied traits in psychology, the internal locus of control. Psychologist Julian Rotter introduced this idea decades ago. People with an internal locus of control tend to believe that outcomes are influenced primarily by their own actions. People with an external locus of control tend to believe outcomes are determined by luck, circumstances, or forces outside their influence. Now here's the important distinction. People who build financial freedom from scratch don't necessarily believe life is fair. Most of them know it isn't. They know some people start ahead. They know bad luck exists. They know circumstances matter. But they also focus relentlessly on what they can control. Their skills, their savings rate, their habits, their decisions, their effort. When something goes wrong, they don't automatically ask, "Why did this happen to me?" They ask, "What can I do next?" That mindset doesn't guarantee success, but it dramatically increases the odds of making productive decisions. The psychological implication is simple. People who believe their actions matter tend to act more often, and action compounds. Here's the thing. Scarcity can be brutal. Researchers Senthil Mulanathan and Eldar Shaffer have shown that scarcity places enormous pressure on mental bandwidth. When you're constantly worried about money, it's harder to think clearly, harder to plan, harder to focus, but scarcity can also create a specific kind of resourcefulness. Many self-made wealth builders develop a habit of asking, "How can I make this work anyway?" They learn to solve problems without throwing money at them. They negotiate, they improvise, they learn skills, they find alternatives. Not because it's fun, because it's necessary. Over time, that habit becomes valuable. They become efficient with resources long before they have many resources. And that skill often remains even after they become financially successful. The implication? Money helps. But resourcefulness often arrives first. Most people understand delayed gratification intellectually. They know saving money is good. They know investing is important. They know patience pays off. But knowing something and feeling something are very different. Many people who experience financial instability early in life don't view delayed gratification as a theory. They view it as survival. The famous marshmallow test became known for exploring delayed rewards. But real life works differently. Many self-made wealth builders aren't waiting because a psychology experiment told them to. They're waiting because they've experienced what happens when there's no safety net. They remember the stress, the uncertainty, the fear. Those memories make patience easier, not pleasant, just easier. The implication is that behavior becomes more durable when it's connected to lived experience instead of abstract knowledge. But here's what nobody tells you. Most financially successful people are not fearless risk takers. In fact, many are surprisingly cautious. What they do differently is learn risk gradually. Entrepreneurship researcher Saras Sarasvathy describes a concept called effectuation. Successful builders often take small, affordable risks, then learn, then adjust, then take another small risk. They don't bet everything on one idea. They don't gamble their future. They run experiments, a side business, a new skill, a small investment, a freelance project, a calculated opportunity. Over time, they develop risk literacy, not because they're brave, because they have practiced. The implication? Financial freedom is often built through hundreds of manageable risks rather than one heroic leap. Let's talk about grit. Psychologist Angela Duckworth defines grit as sustained passion and perseverance toward long-term goals. And when you study people who build wealth over decades, this trait appears repeatedly. Not excitement, not motivation, persistence, the ability to continue after the novelty disappears, after progress slows, after setbacks occur, after other people lose interest. Most wealth-building activities are boring. Investing monthly, learning skills, building businesses, saving money, reducing debt. There's very little applause, very little excitement, but financially free people often continue anyway. Not because they're extraordinary, because they've become comfortable with slow progress. The implication is powerful. Consistency often beats intensity, especially over decades. This pattern shows up again and again. Many people pursue money for status, the car, the watch, the house, the appearance of success. But self-determination theory suggests something interesting. Human beings are deeply motivated by autonomy, the ability to control their own lives. And many people who build financial freedom from scratch eventually shift toward that goal. They stop asking, "What can money buy?" and start asking, "What can money free me from?" A terrible job, debt, dependence, stress, lack of options. The goal becomes freedom, not admiration. And freedom tends to be a more sustainable motivation than status, because status constantly moves. Freedom doesn't. The implication? People who see money as a tool often manage it differently than people who see money as an identity. Now let's talk about something uncomfortable. Many self-made wealth builders struggle to relax, even after becoming financially secure. Why? Because memory matters. Someone who experienced genuine financial stress often remembers it vividly. The unpaid bill, the empty bank account, the uncertainty, the embarrassment, the anxiety. And those memories don't disappear just because income increases. This often creates resistance to lifestyle inflation. While others automatically spend more as income rises, financially free builders often pause. Not because they're disciplined, because they remember what instability felt like. The implication is that memory can become a financial advantage, but it can also become a source of anxiety. Many journeys toward financial freedom begin with escape. Escaping debt, escaping poverty, escaping instability, escaping dependence. Researchers often describe this as push motivation. You're being pushed away from something painful, and in the beginning, that can be incredibly powerful. But eventually something changes. The emergency ends, the danger fades, the bills get paid. Now a different question appears. What are you building toward? This is where pull motivation takes over. Purpose, meaning, freedom, creation, contribution. The healthiest long-term wealth builders often make this transition, because fear is powerful, but purpose lasts longer. The implication is that financial freedom becomes easier to sustain when it's connected to something bigger than survival. This may be the most overlooked pattern of all. Building financial freedom often looks strange from the outside. Driving an older car, living below your means, investing instead of spending, working weekends, starting businesses, skipping upgrades, delaying gratification. Many of these choices don't look impressive, at least not immediately. Friends may not understand, family may not understand, co-workers may not understand, but financially free builders often develop a willingness to tolerate that misunderstanding because they're optimizing for a different timeline. Years, not weekends, decades, not months. The implication is that financial freedom sometimes requires social patience as much as financial patience. Now let's talk about what this actually means, because it's easy to hear these patterns and assume they're moral virtues, proof of superiority, evidence that successful people are somehow better. They're not. Many of these traits are forged through hardship, and hardship has costs: anxiety, hypervigilance, difficulty trusting stability, difficulty spending money, relationship strain, work obsession, fear of losing progress. These patterns can create success, but they can also create stress. That's why understanding them matters. Not so we can romanticize struggle, but so we can learn from it. If there's one thing I'd like you to remember from this video, it's this. Financial freedom is rarely built by one giant decision. It's usually built by thousands of small decisions repeated consistently over time. The people who build wealth from scratch aren't necessarily smarter. They're often operating with a different psychological framework, a stronger sense of control, a longer time horizon, a healthier relationship with risk, a deeper appreciation for freedom. And the good news is that none of those traits require you to grow up in hardship. They can be practiced, developed, strengthened, one decision at a time. Because financial freedom isn't just about money. It's about building the mindset capable of sustaining it. I'm Morgan Vals. Build small, grow strong, live free, and I'll see you in the next video.